Well, I'm joined by her cousin, Maayan Shavit, Carmel's cousin. Maayan, thank you for coming on the programme.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm very sorry for your loss and your family's loss. I mean, we'd all, through the news stories, got a sense of knowing Carmel a little bit, but obviously she's your family. Tell us about her to start with, why don't you? Because some of the stories, as I said, that emerged were really wonderful.
Of course. Well, first of all, you're absolutely right. Carmel became not only ours, but of the world, and known as, again, I'm just going to make it stronger, your word stronger. She is a very kind person, a loving person. She never cared who stand in front of her. She will help them. She's a yoga master and an occupational therapist. She fell in love in India, in the country. She was always an angel. She was always a strong person, very dedicated to her cause, whatever she decided it was. And it wasn't surprising for us, to hear how strong she was, but we never thought that we'll have to test it,
And my God,
the first time we heard that she was alive was when the kidnap started, the first and only negotiations that were on day 40 to 50, to 56. And she was supposed to come back home on day 56, 58. And the door was shut. And again, we knew she was alive. We knew for sure she was alive. And the second negotiation that was supposed to come and be in July, we knew for sure she's on the list with Hersh, with Eden, and the door shut again. And only to find out that, they survived 330 days only to be executed in gun to the back of their neck, and while they're still tied, and then to keep on shooting at them, even after they're down.
And her sister-in-law,
Yerden Roman Gat.
She was one of the early released hostages.
Yes,
relatively early released hostages, and obviously the joy of that, which we saw when she was greeted by her husband and children, very much overshadowed by the fact that Carmel and the others were still in captivity. When you say the door
Let's not forget that Carmel's mother, my aunt Kinneret, was murdered also brutally on October 7 in her kibbutz Be'eri.
And when you say the door was closed on those negotiations, who or what has so far made them unsuccessful, in your view?
Well, it wasn't a surprise to us about Hamas, but 100%. All the first negotiations were shattered by Hamas. They destroyed the first negotiation without explanation, the same reason that there's no explanation why they even attacked on October 7 in a brutal way. This should never be in politics. Human beings are not politics. They're not bargain chip. We are dealing with human life. That means we're trading with human life, with every meaning behind that sentence, and the word is okay, just because we're Israelis and we're Jews and everything. But I can tell you this much: I'm Canadian as well, and my other government haven't done anything also for the Canadian. So I blame the world, but first and foremost, I blame Yahya Sinwar that been his regime in Gaza since 2017. He took hostage his own people.
There have been, as you know, massive protest demonstrations, marches, rallies inside Israel by Israelis. Much of it, I mean, I can't speak for every individual on those rallies, of course, but much of it directed at the Netanyahu government, and huge frustration about the hostages not being released
100% yet. Netanyahu is to blame. To tell you that he's not doing, for the hostages, no, I will not say that. To say that he's the only blame that everything happened, absolutely not. He's not. This is a democratic country, so even if he's in the head, he still have the government, behind him. So just because his name is at the top, he's not the only one to blame. I have no doubt that he wants his people home. To tell you that he's doing 100% everything that it will happen, no. But for me, the first and foremost, the blame, the one that put the gun into my cousin's, head, the one that put the gun into my aunt's head, the
It's
one
Hamas.
that came and took every one of my family is Hamas.
Yeah.
100% that they came and took over 240 civilians without even a reason.
I know.
It's Hamas.
I agree. I accept that completely and agree with you. Do you think that the numbers on the protests in Israel are, there aren't many people who wouldn't accept what you've just said, because we saw it happen, sadly, brutally. Is the general opinion, though, in Israel that the government, Netanyahu at the head of it, but the government can do and should do things differently now? Nobody thinks it's an easy position.
They should have done differently since day one. I always said this is something that cannot be compared with anything. So the book should have been thrown to the sea day one. There is no book. You cannot follow a book that, to a situation that haven't happened to anybody. That you can't drone, a list of a to-do list, because what are you going to do? Well, the thinking should have been the first and foremost, and the only thinking that should have been is hostages. How do I bring my people home now? Not tomorrow, not in a month, and not even to think about the consequences.
Do you think that should have been done before any military action was taken?
100%. Well, no, the military should have done it on day one and not wait for 2 or 3 weeks, or give a heads up to the people of Gaza. Oh, we're coming, please hide. No, we gave too much time for the Hamas to hide our people, and that's why it became long and longer and longer. Because in one hand, we want to end this, but in another hand, end this and get our people. But in another hand, if we go in, we're going to hurt our people. It's been proven. It's done.
The received opinion, broadly speaking anyway, is that the disagreement over the Egypt-Gaza border is where the hostage negotiations are floundering now.
Excuse me for my French, that's a BS.
Okay.
That's for me. That's for me just an excuse.
Tell me why.
Why you haven't spoken about it in 11 months? Why suddenly it's such an important,
So why do you think the Israeli government is focusing on that now?
Like I said, in one hand, I am not a politician. I don't sit there. I don't even live in Israel. I'm only here, unfortunately, for all the wrong reasons. Because of your family, yeah. To bury my cousin, exactly. And that's the only reason I'm here right now. And so I don't live the Israeli politics. So let's just put it on the spot. But this, from at least now, for me, from somebody that lives not in Israel, at least a month now, it's 100% BS. If until now I could have found some reasoning, maybe, even though I don't have to accept.
So what what conclusion are you drawing, or you are not really drawing one? Are you thinking it's because the Israeli government, the cabinet, wants to continue that war? Do you blame Hamas for that as well?
No.
When you say it's BS, whose BS is it?
How can you blame somebody that, Hamas for what's happening in my own government, in your own government? I can blame Hamas for what's going on in Israel, but I cannot blame them for government decisions unless they all, dealing together. For me, I look at them. I look at Benjamin Netanyahu and I look at Yahya Sinwar as two pharaohs. How I look at them.
Two pharaohs, yeah. So you don't believe
God
the
hostages made their heart like stone. That's it. When you have no compassion, when you lose all look on realism, look what's in front of you, and you still have your eyes shut, and from both sides, this doesn't look on his people, and this forgot his people. So that's why, even though I know even my family gonna disagree with me,
that's normal.
Yeah, I know, but they are against the military act. I don't believe that Netanyahu will get any deal unless somebody will literally force him. And I believe that only the IDF can bring the peace. Because right now, when Sinwar gave the order to murder any hostage, if they think they hear the military come, they're just going to murder them. So either we're going to find them and bring them, or I think all of them, unfortunately, going to come in body bags.
I was listening to the mother of Naama Levy, the young woman who we saw on day one being dragged in and out of a Jeep.
After she was raped.
Yeah, I mean, she certainly looked like she'd been very badly treated, that's for sure. She said that on a number of occasions, she very quietly, I'm sure you know of her and have heard her speak, very quietly spoken, intelligent woman. She said that on a number of occasions she has refused to meet members of the government, the Israeli government, not out of anger or rage at them or to make a political point, but because she said she will speak to anybody who she believes is genuinely putting the release of the hostages at the very top of their agenda. And she doesn't believe that the Israeli government is. You don't either, do you?
I don't. Not in 100%, no. They do not put the people in the first priority. You cannot put safety before people, because without the people, there's no safety. It's like a ball. And if you don't understand what comes before the other, or what cannot be existing without the other, a country cannot exist without her people. And if you lose the faith of the people, the country cannot be. And, something needs to be done, and needs to be done in a very drastic way.
And I can understand. Of course, I can't understand because I'm not in your shoes, but I can understand how frustrated and perhaps angry, you'll tell me, and exercised you are about all of these events, not least the loss of your family members. How is your family coping?
There was a hope. Again, the hope came not because maybe she's coming home. The fight was already for the date that she's coming home, not if she's coming home. So when you know something, it's so you can smell it, you can taste it, you can feel almost like, and then suddenly disappeared.
Very hard.
Not only it's very hard, it takes time to understand that it actually happened. Yeah. And now it's even more devastating because it was so senseless. So senseless. Why didn't you just leave them there? Leave them tied. You know what? Tell them you're going to starve to death. You're not going to have anything. Leave them there. They survived over 330 days. They will survive another week until the military will fight. Just leave them. Why do you have to do it like that? And I just don't get it. And I think that's what crushes us even more so.
To cause
just,
pain.
Say, she's gone. We even left the plaque on Kinneret's, her mother's grave, for her to do, because we waited 7.5 months to bury her mother because we believed she's going to be home.
And you wanted her to take part in
the funeral with us. And she did. And after 7.5 months, we said, okay, it has to be done, but at least we left the plaque. Now, who has to do the plaque? Her father and her brothers. How can you continue from there?
And will you stay in Israel for longer to campaign for the other hostages, or do you have to leave with a heavy heart, I'm sure?
I have to leave. My son I left him behind, he has school. So in Canada, but I am fighting there. I'm doing the fight from there. The fight is not over. My chapter, unfortunately, have ended. Carmel's chapter has ended, not in the way that anybody in the world ever thought it's going to end. But we still have 101 hostages, that need to be home. The murdered to bury, and the living for rehabilitation. And it needs to happen now because it's a lose-lose situation. This war, if you like to call it, I can't call it war because it's still one-sided. Israel didn't really attack yet. If Israel wanted to attack, it would have been like a war. It wasn't a war yet. It's not. We're still very careful. because we have 101 hostages in Gaza.
You're not a politician, so I won't go down that route and challenge you on that. But a lot of people will very severely disagree with you that
I understand,
that Israel is not
but if
attacked
you
yet,
look all through the history, Israel never once attacked. The IDF never attacked. He only protect. In any war in the history, IDF never ever attacked, not even once. And even now, when he goes in, he doesn't look for building, for civilians, for where can I hurt the most? No, he doesn't look for this. He look, where can I hurt the military supply of the Hamas? So they will not continue attack, not only Israel, but they will stop torturing their own people. The Palestinians that in Gaza that are suffering.
Maayan, I have to leave it there for time reasons, but thank you very much for joining us today. And again, I'm sorry for your family's loss, huge loss, 2 losses. Maayan Shavit, the cousin of Carmel Gat, and Carmel's mother, murdered on October the 7th.